Hey everybody. It's Becky from Power Tools with Thread. And I see a bunch of you in the chat already. You are on a live. And if you have joined afterwards on the replay, thank you so much for spending time with us. Today, I've got a great project for you. We're going to spend a little bit of time and we're going to make this adorable luggage tag from Creative Appliques. My friend Dawn made this and she's with us, and I'm going to bring her in real quick. So let's pop in here. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, good morning, everybody. And
Good.
afternoon and team replay and evening, wherever anybody is checking in from.
Yeah, while you're at it, you guys, and it's no cost to you and great for me, please give the video a thumbs up if you like the content. That's wonderful. So yeah, Melanie says, here we go. This is going to be like a live class, and this class is geared toward beginner embroiderers. So if you're a seasoned embroiderer and you want to jump ahead, you go right ahead and knock yourself out. That's great. We all have lives to live, right? So I'm going to let Dawn talk about this tag a little bit, how she came about it, and tell us about the tag. I love it.
All right. So Becky contacted me, and well, I think we should step back a little bit. A year ago, Becky and I met in person at the International Houston Quilt Festival. And we got to talking and we hit it off, and we said we should do a collab sometime. So after time passes, Becky finally contacted me and she said, I'm really looking for something specific and I cannot find it. And I was wondering if you could make this for me. And she told me exactly what she wanted. So what she came up with was, she said she wanted a bag tag for going on her cruises because she goes and teaches on sew and sales. And she wanted a bag tag that everyone could put on their luggage so that they can personalize it, make it their own. She gave me the cute little saying, touch my bag or I'll rip your seams out, and exactly what she wanted. And so I took some time and digitized what I came up with from her vision. And so it's a great bag tag. You can put this saying on the front. I think Becky is going to have you all personalize it with your name today. And then on the back, there is a zipper. So this way you can put in your name and address and everything you would on a bag tag. But you can also, there is a hidden pocket back here. Let me take this paper out so you can see how my finger disappears. There is a hidden pocket back here that if you want to use this as a lanyard, you know, when you go to quilt shows or conferences or anything like that, you can hide your credit card back there. You can hide some cash back there, things that, you know, your room key back there, things that are personal that you don't want necessarily seen. And then here in the front, you can put, you know, your ID and information that you need, your conference name tag to get into the conference, or you can just use it as a bag tag. And Becky's going to talk about all the specifics about.
Uh-oh, we got a hold up, a little hang. Okay, Dawn's internet has kind of hung up, so are you back?
I am back. Yes. Was that me or was that you? We're having internet issues here.
I think it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think it was you, but that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the idea of being able to use this as a lanyard. I never thought about that. So that's great. Yeah, you certainly can do a little pocket back there. That's wonderful. So awesome. Now, Dawn is here. If you guys have questions, you're in the chat, put a bunch of question marks and then put Dawn and ask your question to Dawn. And Dawn, you should be able to answer a question in the chat, correct?
Yes, I am seeing them now. Yes.
Good.
Melanie said gremlins.
Hey, look who's here. It's Joanne Banco from Let's Go Sew.
Hey, Joanne.
Hi, Joanne. Thank you for joining us. We've got a celebrity in our mix. Ooh.
We do, a big time celebrity.
You know, Joanne emailed me the other day and she said, hey, somebody emailed me and asked me for the link to the video on making those sew and flip corners. And she said, I didn't do that. Was that you? I said, yeah, that was me. And we had a good chuckle about how you guys watch so many videos with so many great creators that we get we forget who, you know, did it for us. And so I gave her the link and she shared it with that person and everything. So that's great. That's great. I love that we are all one big happy, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And sisters supporting sisters. I love that.
Absolutely. All right. So let me give you guys a little bit of a kind of an orient. I've got shadow over here from my blinds right above my machine. I apologize. One of the things I like to do is to email the instructions for a project to myself. And then I will, so like I downloaded the design on my desktop and then I just pull my tablet over. So I emailed the PDF to myself to tell me, you know, so I can read the instructions right here. Save a tree, right? So we don't, I don't have to do, I'm going to save paper and I'm saving ink. And that's really handy little tip if your project is 28 pages, you know, that kind of thing. And then another thing I do is I'll go into the settings on my tablet and tell it not to go to sleep or do an auto lock during my project so that it's going to be on the whole time. And that way I can just kind of refer back to it and I don't have to keep signing in. That's very handy as well. So extra little tip there. All righty. I want to make sure. Oh, good. Good. Joanne says she appreciated learning perfect points. You betcha. Okay. All right. So I'm going to set this right over here. I'm going to be using a bunch of products, and all of the products that I am using are listed in the description box below the video. So if you see the words more ... right underneath the video, click on that. I have linked to, of course, the design, and Dawn has linked the design on her site. I also have my thread, my bobbins, my paper tape. I think I put the stabilizer, maybe not. Maybe I forgot the stabilizer. If not, I will do that right after the video. So we're going to be working in a 5x7 hoop and brand new to embroidery. Again, remember, this is a brand new folks who have not used their embroidery machines before. This is a really, really fun project. Okay. This is the 5x7 hoop. Your machine came with at least one hoop. Now, if your machine only came with a 4x4 hoop, you're not going to be able to make this design, even if you wanted to split it using some kind of software or something like that. That's a really, really advanced feature. So just kind of keep in mind, if you're brand new to embroidery, if you get a design that is larger than your largest hoop size, your machine can't see it. So kind of keep that in mind. If you've got a 5x7 and you get a 6x10 design and you want to make it in your machine won't let you do that because it doesn't want the hoop to bang into the brains of the machine or anything like that. So that's not intuitive if you've never done this before. So that's kind of, that's kind of something that I didn't know. I had the 5x7 on a PE 770 and I jumped over and got myself a design from Lunchbox Quilts, and I could only see some of the designs in there. So that's just kind of keep that in mind. Okay. But you can do this in a 5x7. Now we're going to do, oh, Norma, thank you so much. Norma, I want to show you guys. Norma gave a super sticker. Thank you, Norma. That's wonderful. Super stickers they're below the video on YouTube and you can click on them. And it's a way for you to show your appreciation for the content. So it's kind of like a pretty inexpensive class. So please do not feel like you need to do that if you cannot afford it. Please do not. The best thing you can do is to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment in the chat, put a comment below the video and share it with your Facebook group and your friends and your guilds. I am on the hunt for the YouTube plaque for 100,000 subscribers, and I am within 100 subscribers of hitting 69,000. So I'm getting there. That's my goal for 2024. So I'm going to talk to you guys about it a lot. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is hoop our stabilizer. What kind of stabilizer do you need? You guys, there's all different kinds of stabilizers, but this one calls for a tearaway stabilizer. So I want to talk to you about tearaway. Do you have one that you like, Dawn?
Well, the one that I use the most often for in the hoop projects specifically because it has such a beautiful, clean, crisp tear is the Pellon. It's a medium tearaway, and
Okay.
it's something that you can get at pretty much the big box stores.
Great. That's
fabric
awesome.
stores.
So if Joann's, I think right now Joann's is having a sale, half off sale on their tearaway or on their Pellon products. So if you could get a bolt of that, that would be great. I'm going to be using a medium weight tearaway from Sulky called Tear Easy. Okay. This is the one that I'm using, Tear Easy. Now, you guys, just think about it. There's only so many companies that make these products in the country or around the world, right? So it's very possible that this could be very much like hers. Now, so look, it's kind of you can kind of see through it a little bit. There are other kinds out there that that look a little more thick. This is like a heavy tearaway. And how do you know it's a tearaway? Well, you grab the corner and you give it a little tear. If you grab the corner and it won't tear, that's a cutaway. But these look a lot alike, okay? So just give it a little tear and see. Now, Dawn mentioned something that's really important. You want to give yourself something that does a nice, clean tear because you don't want your luggage tag, when we get all finished with this, to have a bunch of white fuzzies along the edge, okay? So kind of think about that. So a clean tear is really important. All righty. So also let's talk about the zipper. This project requires a zipper. Dawn, do you have a preference?
I really don't. Just the most important thing there is to comment about the zipper is it needs to be nylon and not metal.
Correct. Now I have a metal pull tab on mine, but that's okay. We're going to embroider with the pull tab way outside of the stitches. But I like that look of the little metal pull tab. This is half of a Lori Holt zipper that I got out of a package of hers. And I'm using this one because it's the one I have that looks best for the color. So that's it. But it is the teeth are nylon, and that's important because you need to be able to stitch over these teeth. Great.
So
okay.
There are some zippers, can I just comment? There are some zippers that you can find that the teeth look like they're metal. So they have like a metallic coloring to them, but they're still nylon. And so it doesn't have to be, the nylon of the zipper that matches the actual fabric. It could be a metallic looking one, but it must be nylon.
Great. Okay. And now let's talk about the vinyl. So this piece of vinyl is actually a scrap that I have from a Kimberbell project. So I'm going to use this one. Do you have one that you prefer?
The one that I typically use is by Annie. And I think it's like a 16 gauge and it comes on a roll. You can find it on the byannie.com website, but she prefers she always says, please check your local quilt shop first because a lot of her stuff, that's the stuff. A lot of her things are in the local quilt shops. And if you can't find it at your local quilt shop, ask them to order it because By Annie loves that you support all your local quilt shops.
Absolutely. So this is 16 gauge vinyl. That's really important if you're looking for vinyl. I got this at the Houston Quilt Festival and I got myself several rolls of it. So just kind of keep that in mind. And you want 16 gauge at least because cheap vinyl will pull away from the, the thinner stuff will pull away from the stitches. And you also want to make sure that the vinyl is not going to leave like white pokey marks as the needle goes through it. Is that a term, pokey marks?
Yeah, that's it is in the dictionary, the pokey marks.
All righty.
Not to be confused with the hokey pokey.
Or Pokemon.
Exactly. That's right.
Okay. And then lastly, let's talk about hoops. So all different kinds of hoops, you guys. This is a standard hoop that has an arm on the side. Some of them have clip-ons. Some of them have the slide in. Any kind will work. I'm going to be stitching on the Brother Luminaire, which uses the slide-in arm. The Genomes are the arms on the other side. You also could use a magnetic hoop. Okay, this is the Brother magnetic hoop. This came with the XP2 upgrade. So I think, or XP3, I can't remember. So you might use a magnetic hoop. I'm going to do one hooping in a standard hoop and then second hooping in the magnetic, just so you guys can see the different ways to hoop the different kinds of stabilizer. Okay. And then also Designs and Machine Embroidery makes a magnetic hoop. I do have one, but this is what it looks like. But this is not, I don't have their 5x7. The smallest one I have from them is the 6x10. This is the big dog for the Luminaire. So you can use any kind of magnetic hoop that you want. It doesn't matter, whatever one is easiest for you. Yeah. Okay.
As long as it's a 5x7 or larger.
5x7 or larger. You cannot do this in a 4x4, you guys. All right. So I have a couple of pieces of Tear Easy right here in my hand, and I'm going to go ahead and hoop the 5x7 standard hoop. I'm just going to get all my goodies out of the way here, you guys. I got all my stuff. Isn't that something when we get to do an embroidery, we just have piles, right? I don't know about you, Dawn, but it looks like a bomb went off when I get finished.
Yes, it does.
I think, how did that happen? Why, I'm just sitting here minding my own business, and all of a sudden it looks like something went crazy. All right.
Yep.
Just going to pop this in here. You want about an inch extra or so. Now your hoop, inner or outer ring, will have, or both, will have a little notch, an arrow, a belly button, or something to tell you that this is the top. That matters so that you get a good, proper hooping. So let me turn this, and I'm going to zoom you in just a little bit. I went a little skimpy on my stabilizer, but I think it'll be okay. So what I do is put the hoop with the arm the way it's supposed to be in the embroidery machine, and I push make sure this is nice and loose, and then I push the top in first, okay, kind of hold it, and then I'll push the bottom in, and I get a nice hooping. And then you can kind of tug if you want. It doesn't matter on this particular project, okay? It's not like it's closed and it's going to switch, kind of shrink back up and tug back up at you when you get finished. So if you've never embroidered before, I do not recommend you start with garments. Just don't. Play with this first. Right, Dawn?
Yes. Something that's, not going to be, you don't want to start with, a $200 jacket or something that is going to have lots of regrets if something doesn't go right.
We just don't need that. I need my little screw. Oh, here it is. You guys, if you have a Brother machine or a Baby Lock, they make these wonderful little tools, and it has a little hole in it there, and there's a little screwdriver in there that does flip around, but it is designed to go on this little end right here, and then you can tighten really well for these old arthritic fingers. Okay, so that's the way I like to do that. All right, so I'm going to put the hoop into the machine. You know what? I'm going to leave this camera on me right here, and I'm going to tell this telemarketer I don't want to hear from them, and then I'm going to put my phone on mute because I am a video professional. And I should have done that.
So Becky, I just want to let you know I've tried. I cannot post in the comments for whatever reason. I don't know if it's a setting on your end or not, but I'm having some questions over here. And so I don't know when you want to address them.
You can feel free. What do you want to? That's fine. Go ahead. And Dawn, is polyester zipper the same as nylon? Go ahead.
So polyester would be the part that is the fabric part. So that's fine. The nylon, what we're talking about is for the nylon is the actual teeth of the zipper. So the part where, you know, the zipper tab runs on, it is the teeth. Let me grab a zipper here. It's the teeth we're talking about. That's nylon. We're not talking about the fabric. The fabric around it is probably going to be polyester. So the nylon is the actual, the plastic little parts that are the teeth of the zipper, the actual zipper part. So not the fabric that we're going to stitch on, just the teeth.
Let's just keep this really simple. All right. No metal zippers. None. Let's just keep it simple. It doesn't matter if it's poly, nylon, silk. It doesn't matter. No metal zippers. You're going to break your needle and maybe mess up your machine. So we'll just leave it at that. Does that sound good?
That sounds great to me.
Yeah.
And then there was one other question. Which Pellon stabilizer? It's the Pellon medium tearaway. I will find the number for you and let you know here in a second.
Yeah, if you want to let me know, and then I'll pop it into the comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let me go look at the actual bolts here and get your number.
All right. So I'm going to jump over to the machine here. All right. Let me do this so you guys can see what I'm doing. This machine has a little lever on it. Okay. And you want to make sure your lever is up. And I'm just going to take the little arrow. There's an arrow on it. I'm just going to slide it in. I push it in as far as it will go with my thumb and pop the lever down. And then I know it is locked in there. Now, if you are ever putting your hoop into your machine, I like to put my hand on the arm so that it does not shift at all. Okay. If the arm shifts while you're doing a project, then I recommend that you look on your machine, see which stitch number you are on, and I'll show you how to find that here in a minute. See which stitch number you're on, then turn the machine off, turn it back on, let it reset itself, and then jump ahead to that stitch number, and then you can keep going, okay? Once you change that registration on that arm without, you can't keep going. The machine doesn't know where it is. Okay, good. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to zoom in here on the machine, or I'm going to bring the machine back and let you see. So on the luminaire, I want to make sure you can see the screen. Hold on a second here. Let's see if I can get this in any closer for you guys so you can see the screen without glare. And let me see what I can do here. All righty. So on this machine, now I've got a little USB hub right out here on the side, and this is optional. You can get a USB hub. And you can get them all over Amazon. It's called USB hub, and that is so that you don't use the USB that is inside of the machine. You don't wear it out. That's just something you can do if you want. It is not required. Okay. So my design, I sent it wirelessly. And so on this luminaire, it's Pellon 806 is what I'm hearing. Okay. Thank you, Celia. I appreciate that. So, oh, you guys, okay. So here we go. So I sent it over wirelessly. I'm going to touch the wireless design right there. And I'm going to pull up luggage tag 1 and hit set. And that's it. That's how simple that is. Alrighty. Now, what we've got here, I'm not sure. Yeah, the glare is bad, you guys. I'm sorry about that. Okay. I want you to be able to see this better. And I do not have a remote for this particular camera to be able to zoom in any better. Let me do this. we're going to come back to me here. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to swing this one around and get it down in here if I can. I got cords everywhere, y'all. Hold on a second. One man show here. Let me zoom in here with this camera. The glare is not much better on that one, is it? Nope. Can't hardly see you guys with the daylight here. I apologize. Alrighty. So once you get the design ready to go, this is when you want to do, let me switch back over. And let me pull, I'm going to bring Dawn back on the stage. There you go. Let me see here. I've got some camera angle issues that I need worked out. That's where I want that right there. Dawn, you'll see I have the most forgiving people. They know I'm just, I've got this whole crew here working for me, right? Yeah. So when you get your first design loaded in the machine, before you touch embroidery, you want to go to the add section. And add is where we're going to add some lettering. Okay, so I want to make this for my friend Candace with an I. So I'm going to touch the alphabet that pops up on the screen. And I'm just going to choose the very first one because I want something that's nice and like big enough that the stitches don't just disappear into the pleather. So I'm just going to choose the very first one. And that's a nice bold font. And I think I need to be on the small. So I'm going to choose this capital C. And then I'm going to, now I can jump over and touch I've got large, medium, and small. I can touch the S for small. And now I can jump to lowercase and go A, N, D, I, C, E. So there's Candace. And now I'm going to hit set. So now I have 2 embroidery designs that are going to be used. So this is how you can personalize these things. All right. Okay, now what I want to do is turn it sideways because I want to get this in closer so you guys can see. I want to get this in close and not have it move around 100 times so you guys don't get sick. There, now you can see it. Can you see it? Let me get you bigger. I'm going to move you out, Dawn, just a second.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Let me get this right where you can see it. Okay. Now I want to get this Candace right here over into this area of the luggage tag. And so now I can move it. So I'm going to go into my edit button, which is right up here at the top. I'm going to touch edit. And I'm going to go to rotate, even though there's size and move and rotate. I'm going to go to rotate because on rotate, you can rotate it as well as move it. So you have both options here. So I'm going to move it over and rotate 90, just like that. And I'm going to move it over. Perfect. And now I'm going to move it down. That gives me enough room right there so that it's on half. So you can see the little hole where the screw is going to go. And it's halfway on it. It looks good. I like that. And I'm going to touch OK and maybe go to size and make it a little bit far. Whoop, wrong way. I don't want it any taller, but I was going to do it a little bit wider. Let's see. There. That looks good. I'm going to tell it OK. So that's how you personalize. Now down here at the bottom of the screen where it says select, okay, where it says select, right now my letters are highlighted and now the main design is highlighted. So I'm jumping back and forth between the 2 designs. Well, how do I want them to stitch out? So on my machine, I have 3 little squares with arrows that move. I can touch that and that's going to change the way. So now the design is going to stitch out first and then the lettering. If I wanted to change it, it would do the lettering first and then the design. So I don't want that. I want to make sure that the lettering is last there. And I'm going to tell it OK. And that's it. So that looks like that's going to stitch out really well, I think. Well, I'm going to move this just a tiny bit. I want to center it. That's good. All right. And now I'm ready to hit embroidery. And we're ready to, that's perfect. Okay. So I'm going to move this back just a little bit. There. So do you guys have any kind of questions on what that?
So they're asking me to verify the stabilizer, and it is Pellon 806. It's called Stitch and Tear. Stitch -N -tear, and it's 806. I see some people were 101. That is more of an interfacing. SF101 is more of an interfacing, not a stabilizer. They are not interchangeable. They are not the same thing. So that's one thing to be aware of, is that stabilizer and interfacing are different. And so it's the Pellon 806. That's not very clear, but it's 806. And some Celia said the 360 EZ is a lightweight tearaway. Yeah, we want a medium weight tearaway, and one of the reasons why we want a medium weight tearaway is to add some stability to the tag, right? We don't want it to be super floppy and getting caught between other bags and all of that. So if you use a medium weight tearaway stabilizer, it adds more stability to the project.
Perfect. Awesome. All righty. So I think we are about ready to get started here. I think. Are you guys ready to get started? I'm ready to get started. So here's the difference. The SF101 is what we use when we're doing applique on a block and we want to make sure that that background fabric doesn't pucker. That's when you use SF101. SF101 is not a tearaway, and it would stick out the sides and you'd see it between the two tag pieces. So that's just kind of a little tidbit there. All righty. So I'm going to jump back over to the camera for the machine, and let me do this. There we go. Okay. And we're ready to go. So the first thing I need to do is to change my, my thread color. I'm going to put in right now I've got like a white hanging. This is the end with the white, and here's like a darker color so you guys can see it. When I change my threads, I just kind of twist them together just a little bit so they kind of hold together, and then I do one single loop knot like this. Okay, and then I unthread the needle and pull from the front and just pull it through. You always want to pull your thread toward you, never pull it out from the spool end up and backwards, because you can put a whole bunch of fuzzies up in your machine that you don't mean to. All righty, so the only thing I need to do now is just tell it to go. So I've got a green button here on my machine, and we're going to go. Oh, you know what? It helps if you thread the needle. Yeah, that's so, I don't know why. It just is so much easier to embroider when your needle is threaded, right, everybody? That's how that goes. Let me do that. Yeah, I do that all the time, you guys. I get so ahead of myself. I'm like, oh, I get so excited. Let's do this. All righty. Move out of the way. So, yeah. Now, if you guys feel the need to put your hands in the embroidery field, please resist doing that. Okay. Yeah. Margie says she does that all the time. Yeah, it's fine. So the first thing it did is it created the placement line for the pleather. And again, you don't have to have pleather. You can use fabric that's got fusible fleece on it. You can use cork. You can do anything you want. But now it's stitching the guidelines for the zipper. And it's going to do another one here. Okay. And after that, it's going to stitch. Let's see. All right. I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to install this zipper. You won't believe it. You know, people tell me they love me because I'm so real. This is how it is, guys. You get to see me in all my glory. All right, so now we need to install the zipper. So let's get down to that. There we go. All righty. So I'm going to pull out the hoop. Whenever you pull your hoop from your machine, it's really important that you work on a firm, flat surface, okay? Because if you pop the hoop out, it pops apart, it's over. You cannot recover from that. Don't even try. You're going to waste your time and you'll be mad. So you always want to work on a firm, flat surface, and that's the easiest way is to make sure that you don't pop your hoop open. Now, I like to use, this one's too big. I've got a quilter's cut and press, and I use these all the time for my embroidery. I use it for what I call lap work. Okay, so I'm going to put the camera down, and this is my lap work. So you guys can see how it works. I can see my lines and everything. Now, the first thing the instructions tell me to do right now is to, on the front side of the hoop, place the upper edge of the clear vinyl even with the two short stitch lines. See the two short stitch lines? Those are those little stitch lines right there. I don't know if you can see them. They're right here. Let me get a marker so you guys can see. I know it's tough. So can you see those short stitch lines? I put them a circle around them. Okay. Yeah. So you want to take your vinyl. Now, I am going to use some paper tape. There's all kinds of paper tape out there, guys. And I'm going to use micro pour paper tape. I have it linked below the video. And I'm going to put the top edge of the vinyl even with those two short stitch lines that I circled. Now, Dawn, if I'm doing something wrong, yell at me, okay?
Okay, so, you're doing great.
Okay, so this is a little 1-inch tape dispenser. You can get 10 or 12 rolls. I think it's a 12-roll box of this paper tape on Amazon for $10. So I use this all the time. All right, and the instructions say tape in place at the bottom and the lower sides. So the bottom, I'm going to do this right outside the stitch line right here. So it's just barely on there, and the lower sides. Okay, so I'm going to do one like out here and kind of out here, just a little bit, you guys. Okay, that's going to hold that in place. Okay, and then the next instruction says place the closed zipper, right, between the two horizontal stitch lines covering the vinyl. So the edge of the vinyl comes up about 1/4 of an inch over this stitch line right here. So I'm going to take my zipper tab to the left. I'm holding it in my left hand, and I'm just going to put it right on here, just like this, right in between those two lines. Now the metal pieces of the zipper stop that's out here and the zipper pull tab that's out here are well away from the stitch lines. Okay, we don't want any drama. We are way past dealing with drama in our lives right now. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to put the paper tape right out here on this. And I'm going to tape over the edges and make sure that my zipper is right in between those lines. Look how easy this is, you guys. Dawn made this so easy for us. All right.
So one thing of note, I see that is not in the instructions, but just to clarify, the zipper is right side up. So yes. Becky has the tab, and it is the zipper teeth are up. It is not facing down. The teeth are up.
Ah, thank you. Good tip. Okay. All right. So, and you can see in the picture in the instructions that the zipper is face up, but that's good. All right. And it says zipper, stitch. We're on number 4, stitch step 2, zipper and clear vinyl tack down. Back into the machine we go. So here's what I've got. All right. That looks good. Okay. back into the machine. I'm gonna put this in here. There we go. And I'm going to just tack all this down, right?
Yes.
So let's hope that my foot doesn't get hung up on my zipper. We don't like it when that happens because I didn't put the tape over the stitch lines, but we should be okay. So it starts stitching right on the zipper. That's good. And it's stitching. There we go.
ML Weber, you wouldn't necessarily need to slow the machine speed down for this right now. It's just sewing a running stitch, which is basically just tacking the zipper down. So the machine speed right now doesn't matter so much. This is the part that is doing a decorative stitch.
Oh, okay. Good. We got a nice decorative stitch. So you want to use a thread color that's going to be seen right here. Okay. That's great. So on stitch step 2, you want to use a thread that will be seen. All right. So let's take a look at what we got. Okay. So it tacked it down right on the top. See how that just caught it? You're going to get it just right. And now here is the decorative stitching on the zipper. See how that worked out really good. All right. So let me get my lap work hoop done. Okay. Now I'm going to remove this piece of the tape, and you want to open the zipper, right? Yes. Open the zipper halfway between the stitching. All right. Right in the middle, so nothing's going to hit my little tab. Matter of fact, just because it makes me feel better, I'm going to take a little piece of tape and just tape my tab down so it doesn't get froggy on me and decide to, move. Okay. Now, we want to place the vinyl right side up, centered over the stitching on both sides. Okie doke. Dawn, I didn't look in the instructions. Which piece for the outer, the larger one or the smaller one? I don't know that it matters. Let's see here.
So this is the front. This is going to be essentially the back of it because the center part of this is going to get cut out.
Right.
So this is
right. Go ahead.
This is all one piece though. It has to, it covers the zipper. So
I got you.
It's the
I need the larger piece.
Yeah.
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 Like that?
Yes.
Yes. Place the vinyl right side up, centered over the stitching on both sides, top and bottom. Fold it back on itself and cut a small slit in the center of the fold. Okay, that's good. So it covers everything. Yeah, so the smaller piece is for the other side of the tag.
So right? you need.
Let me double check what I need.
Let's see. I think you need 2 pieces.
Yeah, I have 2 pieces. Let's see. Fabric for lining. We need vinyl 1 for window side is 4 by 6. Vinyl for decoration side is 3.5 by 5. So this is the decoration side. That's this side. Okay. And the one we're using now is the 4 by 6. So that goes over just like this. All right. I like it. I'm going to move. I don't want to have the tape in there at all. I'm just going to leave that. Okay. And then I need to cut a little slit in this, right? So I can cut it out later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. A very tiny little slit. So you have, but be careful. You need to know where you're cutting that because you don't want to cut it in the center of that. Because remember, you're stitching all the way around that square.
Yeah.
The part you're cutting is going to be for the vinyl window that needs to be below the zipper.
Right.
So where I have it is so you have it placed on there and then I fold it back just about that much and then cut a little slit right there. So, because if you fold it all the way in half, you might be cutting too far up into where it needs to stitch onto the zipper.
So fold it so that there's about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch showing at the top. That'll work. Okay. There, like that.
Perfect.
Perfect. Ooh, I'm glad you're here. Okay.
I am too, because I see that these instructions need to be kind of rewritten so that you understand. It doesn't have on here that you need the 4x6 piece in step 6. So I think I'm going to go back through these instructions and give letters to the pieces that are needed at what part, and then that way I'll put that in the instructions so it's clearer.
That'd be very helpful. So you're making yourself notes. Zipper right side up.
Yep.
Use a thread that can be seen because it's decorative stitching. And I'm going to take this down. Okay. Right?
Yes.
I think. Yep. And
Yep.
unfold the vinyl, tape in place, and make sure the vinyl is centered over the stitching. The placement of the slit can be seen where the snips got that. We're going to do the vinyl tack down now. Excellent. So I need to change, do I need to change my thread colors to my yellow?
This is going to be seen.
It will be seen. Okay.
It will be seen. It will be visible.
All right. You know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to take another piece of tape, and I want to make sure my little vinyl teeth are like together. So they're not like this. I want them together. Yeah. Just like that. And that way it'll hold. That way my zipper doesn't go wonky on me when I'm not looking. Okay. You can never have too much tape. That's my.
I agree with you.
All right. And I'm going to change my thread colors. So let me show you guys what I do here. I have got a thread tree behind my machine. And the way I do this is I just cut it up here at the top. And then my thread tree, let me lift it up so you can see it. This is where I put my threads that I'm going to use in my projects. And it sits back here behind so that the hoop cannot smack into it. And I'm just going to grab my thread that I want, ready to go. And then again, I just tie them like this and do a single loop. There. And I like to run my thread through the top thread guide that's actually for bobbins. All right. Now I'm going to do this and thread my machine. Okay, we are ready to go. Yeah.
So Made by Margie, when I update instructions, I will upload it to the website and it'll automatically be added to your account on my website. And I send out an email letting everyone know who has purchased the file in the past that they're updated. And all you have to do is go there and download the updated file. They'll all be put in the same file. So you'll just download the new file and then you'll have the new instructions there. So yes, if you've already purchased the luggage tag or you're about to purchase the luggage tag, right now we're on January 5th, 2024. They'll be updated within a few days of today. And if you're watching this, somewhere in the future, you will probably already have the updated instructions. And I will put a number after the file. So it'll be like RV1, meaning revision 1. And that way, it's not the same file that you purchased. It's a new file. And another note about the thread is I know Becky's been sewing in a thread color so that it's visible for you to see. But in all of these steps, you could have started with your contrasting thread color from the beginning. So where she's having to change the thread so that it can be seen on her vinyl, you could have started already with your contrasting thread that you wanted to use from the beginning, so you wouldn't have even had to change thread color in these steps right now.
That's a great tip. I appreciate that. Yeah, the reason I went with a darker thread in the beginning was really for my viewers so that they can see it on the stabilizer. But as a rule, when it's just me embroidering for myself, I look for what's the first thread color that's going to be seen in my project. And that's the one I start with, so that if I am using a bunch of different, you know, if it calls for like a different color for the placement line. Because like if you take an embroidery design and pop it into embroidery software, the digitizer changes the thread colors to tell the machine when to stop, usually, especially on a multi-needle. So on a multi-needle, you're going to want to put stops at each one. Disregard, I just said that. Anyway, but they change their thread colors. So you can certainly use just the first thread color that's going to be seen. And that's a great tip, and it saves you a lot of time. So, all right, let's see here. So let's get back to, I just popped in. Hey, glad you weren't scratching your nose.
Me too.
Yeah. All right, so that's the vinyl tack down. We are ready to do step number 9, trim off the left side of the zipper. Okay, so back to my lap work. You can use your cutting table, you can use a desk, you can do whatever you want. And it says cut off the left side of the zipper. So I'm going to do that. Let me pull up my tape. Okay, and I'm going to pull this up a little bit and get kind of down in there just a little bit so it's not too bad. Cut that off.
So the only reason why we're trimming off the edge of the zipper is because now the next steps that we're going to stitch are the placement line and the strap that is going to then be sewn into the design towards the end. So that is the reason why we're removing the zipper right now, so that it is not going to get in the way of the next steps, which are, I tried to put all, you know, as condense the design in as few of hooping and steps as possible. So now we're going to stitch the strap part all in the same hooping right now.
And I love that, Dawn. I do not like designs that are not digitized with efficiency in mind. That's really just important to me. That drives me crazy, a badly digitized design. I've been getting emails from people who have gotten designs from a different company, and they're like, this is horrible. What can I do? And I'm all, I don't know. That's not my jam. I'm not a digitizer. I don't know. I'm an end user, just like you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've cut off the zipper. I've pulled all the tape off the outside that was going to hang out over here because it's getting ready to do the placement line for the strap. Okay. So let's do that. I'm going to pop you out, Dawn. Here we go. Just like that. All right. I'm going to put this in. And I'm just going to tell it to go. And hopefully it doesn't stitch. I'm always afraid it's going to stitch like on top of this side, but I don't think it will. Is it? It is.
I hope not.
No, it doesn't. Yay! It just misses it. Woo! Yeah, a little excitement in my life. Yay! Okay, so here's where we are. We've got, and it's hard to see because it's in yellow. So this is why I did everything in a dark blue, but there is a yellow right here that tells me where the strap is going to be. I've got a little bit of tape underneath that I'm going to go ahead and pull off, because it did go over that. I was afraid it was going to stitch on top of this, but it did not. So that's good.
Edward Richards, there is a link in the description of the video on where you can purchase the file. There's a link there that you can click directly, that it will take you to the Creative Appliques website where you can purchase the file. And we ask that you use the link that Becky posted because it is her referral link, and she receives some commission for it, for sharing this information with all of you guys. So it's my way of, you know, giving back to her as well as she's giving to me. So
okay,
that's why we asked you to use her link.
Thank you for that, Dawn. I appreciate that. What I just did is, it was a little too close right here, so I just trimmed this extra off. You don't have to do that. We're going to end up trimming this anyway, but I just trimmed it up a little bit to give me some more room there. And I think I'm going to do it up here at the top as well. I'm going to take a rotary cutter to this in a little bit and clean it all up. But right now, All right, so now what you want to do is over the placement line, I'm going to tape this and make sure. So let me see. I want you guys to see. Here's the edge of the, let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now you can see the edge, and then the line is like right here and right here. So that's where it needs to go for the strap. So I'm going to put the strap on, and what I'm doing is making sure that the ends are over the edge of the blue lines where I've got that there. Okay. And I cannot see the placement line at all. I don't want to see it. Okay. Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to tape it down up at the top. And at the bottom, so it stays in place. Again, we don't want any drama. All right, so we've got that, and I'm jumping through here. So now we're going to do the strap tack down stitching. All right, so it's going to go ahead and run the decorative stitch or the tack down on this. Okay, so let me get back over here. And I'm going to let it do its thing. Yep, that looks great. Okay. Now is when I want to do the personalization piece of this. So if you decide now you want to personalize it, you're not going to be able to go back in. Yeah, you've got to come up with that personalization first and add those letters in before you begin stitching the whole design. So what I'm going to do now is really important. This is a button that you need to know about on any kind of machine that you're going to work on it. I call it the needle plus minus button. It's actually needle minus plus, but I don't, that's backwards in my brain. So my needle plus minus button, I'm going to zoom in here and get in pretty close so you can see the screen if I can, and get this angle down a little bit if it'll do it. I don't know. This is pretty good right here. It's hard to see, guys, but there is the needle plus minus button is right here. When I do the needle plus minus, that's going to allow me to jump ahead 1, 10, 100, or 1,000 stitches. It's going to let me go backwards 1, 10, 100, or 1,000 stitches. I can start all over by hitting the 0. But in this case, up here, it's got a thread spool. And then it's got an up and down arrow. You may have a thread spool with a plus. What happened? Why am I out of focus? There we go. You may have a thread spool with a plus or minus. And so what I'm going to do right now is I want to jump ahead color stops. Yes, Kathy's asking, the link to the tape fits in the Kimberbell tape holder you have, right? Yes, ma'am. It's 1-inch tape. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump ahead. So I need to remember now, I am on thread stop 6 of 13. Okay. But I'm going to jump ahead. There is the first letter of the C for the personalization. So I want to do that right now. Okay. So I'm just going to hit go, and then it's going to run through. And when it gets finished, we're going to go back to color stop 6. So I'm going to run the personalization stitching now. Okay. That's awesome. All right. So now's a real good time to answer questions. We're going to be here for a minute while Dawn, you're on screen. So
thank you. I'm going through, I'm adding the letters right now to the PDF. So it makes it easier. Yeah, this is going to
Perfect.
be a lot easier to understand. So
Yeah, so this is a Kimberbell tape holder and it holds 1 inch tape, and I have linked to the 1 inch micropore tape down below. Like I said, uh, zipper max, what size zipper do they need? Is it like a 6 inch will work? So
I have
use
written
a really
here.
big one and I split it in half for 2 uses.
Yeah, so the one I have here is 1 inch wide by 7 inches long. So essentially a number 3 zipper, not a number 5. So the number 3 zipper is the one that will fit exactly with this project. And 7 inches long gives you enough length on either side to keep those metal parts, the tab and the zipper stop, well out of the way of any stitching that we'll be doing. If you use zipper by the yard, just, cut a 7 inch piece of zipper and make sure your zipper pull is off to one side in the beginning when you stitch it down prior to when we need to move it. But that's in the instructions on when to move it.
Perfect. That's great. This is turning out so cute. I love the big screen on the Luminaire. I think the Stellaire, the Solaris, all of those larger machines, you can see how the lettering is going to fit exactly like you want. If you have a machine that it's hard to tell the screen exactly, to see exactly where it's, or you can't move it around or whatnot on the screen, go ahead and choose. I've got a link below to Embrilliance. Okay. So this just says it's finished, but we know it's not because I've got to do the rest of the strap. So now we're going to go back into the needle plus minus. So let me switch the camera here. And I'm going to go full screen on the machine. And let me turn this. It says we're done. And we're not. But that's okay. That's the thing I love about embroidery. It's so recoverable. I'm going to tell it okay. I'm still in the needle plus minus mode. I'm going to go backwards to up here. I'm looking at 13 of 13. I'm going to go back. Mine's 13 because it gave each letter an individual color stop. I'm going to go back to stitch number 6. All right. Stitch number 6. So this is where I need to be. And I'm going to tell it okay. All right. So this is really good. This shows you that you can jump around in your design and be able to really customize it however you want. Okay. So now what we need to do on the back side of the hoop. So this is another technique that's really cool within the hoop projects, is that you can put your fabric, you can work on the back side of the hoop. Now, in most hoops, you've got, this is kind of on an indentation. I need to link to this below too. I'm going to be doing my lap work, but I want to show you what I'm going to use here. Okay. So let me put the camera down. This is a hoop pad from Designs and Machine Embroidery. And I love this. Any kind of project that you're working on. So now this fits right inside of my hoop, and it gives me a nice firm foundation without having to get this and push it, maybe pop the hoop open, get droopy, anything like that. If you don't have a hoop pad, then get yourself a yard of fabric and fold it up. Okay. Give yourself some kind of, this is like a 1/2 inch. Okay. Give yourself something. Some extra batting scraps are very handy for that as well. You can make your own. You don't have to go and get all expensive and all that. So now we're going to put this strap and cover all of this right here. I've got a thread that's hanging out on the side. I don't think I want that. So I'm going to trim that up just to make sure we don't have any threads hanging out when we trim up the strap. Don't cut the knots. You can cut the tails, but don't cut the knots. Okay. I'm going to do this one right here too. All right. Perfect. So now I'm just going to put this right over make sure that it is covering the same as the one on the front. I can see right through it. And I'm just going to get this right here. Okay. All right. That looks great. See that? So now I can flip it back over and I'm going to put it back into the machine. All right, let's get
After.
Hold on a minute. I got to do something else. If desired, change the bobbin thread to match the top thread. I don't think I want to do that. Do I want to? I don't think I want to do that. I'm not doing that. After.
You don't have to.
On the back side of the hoop, place the second piece of vinyl for the strap covering tape in place. Okay. Yeah. So do I need to do anything else?
You don't have to change the bobbin thread. It's just that if you wanted to have the, because this is going to show,
Right.
but it will be on the inside of the strap. So it's that part there. So if you don't want that to be white, if you want it to match the rest of your decorative stitching, now is the time to change your bobbin. If you don't care and you want it to be white or black, your standard bobbin color, then leave it.
Oh, I'm tracking these edges right here. That's what she's talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
What did I do with my yellow bobbin? See, if I had one, I know I had one because I made this one and I just don't know what I did with it. I see what you're saying. Yeah. What did I do with my yellow bobbin? I don't know. Well, oh, sorry, Candace, you're going to get white thread on the inside of your strap. You know, the other thing you can do is color it up with a yellow Sharpie. All righty. So I'm putting this back in here now. All right. That's going to drive me crazy. I should have thought about that. All right. So I'm going to put this back in here and I'm just going to make sure that it doesn't come loose from the tape or anything. Right. That looks good. All right. That's going to make me crazy. I'm going to do a real quick check. Dawn, you want to, oops, I keep doing that. I get the wrong thing. Yeah. Let me, nope, that doesn't do it either. That doesn't do it. That does it. Yeah. Do you want to visit or answer questions or anything? Give tips? I'm going to look for a bobbin.
So if anybody has questions, put them in here. I've been trying to track them to see what everybody is asking. Marilyn asks, if you attach the Chicago screws, do you have to unscrew it every time you move it to another bag? Yes. So the way the Chicago screws work is essentially kind of like a screw that goes into like a straw kind of part. I don't know exactly what you want to call it, but it's like a tube and it screws into itself. And so the only way to remove it is to unscrew it. So yeah, how are we doing? Where's the camera? So here's the one part here.
Okay.
And then the other part is essentially the screw part. And so you put them together by like that.
Over here.
Where am I? It's so hard. Sorry.
There you go.
There we go. So like that, and then they screw together. And so that way, you know, I love my cam snaps, but just putting this on a piece of luggage to go on a conveyor belt and through an airport and all of that, you will not see it again. So yeah. That's why I prefer the Chicago screws.
That's what I had mentioned to when I was talking about them the last couple of days. So if you're going to put this on a piece of sewing machine luggage and you're just going to take it to a retreat and you want to make sure you've got your name on it or whatever, then a cam snap will work fine. If this is going to be handled by the baggage handlers, you need a Chicago screw. You might see if somebody can help you torque it down real tight so that it doesn't come loose. If you do use a drop of Loctite or E6000, you're not going to be able to get it off. So just kind of think about that. All right. Because somebody said the Chicago screws come loose, but I know we have old hands and we do what we can. But okay, so I'm ready to go. I don't have that yellow bobbin. I don't know what happened to it. So say la vie. That's the way it goes. So I'm just going to go ahead now and stitch this down. As soon as this finishes, oops, I'm sorry. As soon as this finishes, I will find the yellow bobbin. That's how it goes. Yeah.
So Carol asks, what size do we need for these screws? It honestly depends on you, and it's going to depend on kind of like how thick or how big your handle is on your suitcase, when you go to my website from Becky's link, you go to my website, there is a link there for the Chicago screws. And that set has multiple different sizes. The difference of the sizes is the length of the not necessarily the screw part, but it's the top part. So there are some that are different lengths here. I can, where are we? So different heights of the flathead part, essentially. Let me see. You know what? I'm going to switch you around to my other camera really quick so I can show you on the mat. It's just easier that way. Okay, so these are the instructions that I'm going through with you, but this part is the
Dawn,
flathead part. Yeah.
I'm going to step away for about 60 seconds. I'll be right back.
All right, I got this. So
Alrighty.
there are different parts here that are different lengths, and these are the flathead part, right? The part that is doesn't have the screw tip. The screw part is all the same. So you use essentially for this set a flathead screwdriver, and the difference is the length of these other parts that you screw into. So they all take the same screw, regardless of if it's this big one here or if it's this small one here. So they all take the same screw. So the only difference is what ends up changing in that is just the difference, the distance here. Okay, that's the distance, and that's the difference that's going to change. If you don't want a lot of distance, then you would use the smaller flathead to the screw top. Is that making sense? So that's essentially what I would do.
Okay, I'm back.
So Star, I'm not sure, a cam snap, even if it's metal, if it's a metal fashion snap from Cam Snaps, I don't think it would have the strength of these Chicago screws, because this is actually the top part of it, or the bottom part, is this an actual screw with threads on it so that it screws into it. What size Chicago screws? So the ones I have here are M5, or so on the package here, it shows different sizes. There's M5 and then M4. So the ones I use are the M5. The difference here is 6 millimeter, 8 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter. These are the flathead pieces that we just talked about previously. So those are the differences there. The screws are the M4, and the screw head is 4 millimeters. Okay, so it's just the length of the actual flathead part. So the 6, the 8, the 10, or the 12. I have the 12 on mine, but if you want less space and you want the shorter one, use the 6 or the 8. So M4 is the screw, and the other parts are M5.
Awesome.
Bolt. Yeah, I guess so. I guess it would be a bolt.
The length of the post.
Yes, the length of the post. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. All right, you guys. I had a perfect. Great. I had a thread break. So let's take a look. Okay. So let me show you what to do when your thread breaks, because your thread's going to break, and that's what happens. So I got a whole bunch of fuzzies right here. I heard it when it happened. It went ka-thunk. So what I want to do is open up my tension discs, raise the foot. I've got fuzzies. See this big fuzzy right here? When you've got fuzzies like that, that's why you don't want to pull that thread back. I'll show you up close here in a second. So I'm just pulling this through till I get away from the fuzzy end. And I'm going to thread the machine again and rethread the needle. Whoop. Make sure I don't have any fuzzies in the needle. Okay. I can see where the thread break happened. I've got a bubble in, let me see if I can get, oh, I forgot to do something, you guys. Let me put this back in here. I'm going to cut my threads. All right, that's fine. I need to cut my bobbin thread, but I want to show you guys what happened. Okay. Let's get over here and take a look. So here's what happened. Can you see the extra little bubble of thread right there? Okay, that little dark yellow spot. That's where it broke. That's where we started having trouble. And so if possible, you want to clean that up. Okay, so I'm going to go back and do some lap work. If that happens, it doesn't always happen where you can, it doesn't always get a bubble, but sometimes it does. But I'm just going to clean that up a little bit and try to get rid of any kind of snag we have there. And then if I can, I'm going to loosen this and pull it up. And I'm just going to clean this up as much as possible. I don't want that big, ugly bubble there. Okay. So now that looks a lot better. All right. Perfect. Okay. So now, again, this is where that needle plus minus button comes in. Whenever you have a thread break or you run out of bobbin thread, you definitely want to use that needle plus minus, and you want to go back so that when it starts again, it starts before the bad spot happened. Okay. So let me jump in here. I'm going to turn this toward the screen a little bit, and I'm going to go to my needle plus minus, and I'm going to watch the foot, and I'm going to go minus 10 more, 10 more, and maybe 5 more. That's good. I like that right there. That's good. It would actually needed a little bit more because it's on a triple stitch for the decorative stitch. And now I'm ready to go again. And I'm just going to let it start. Don't take it out of the hoop. Don't do anything like that. All right. That's pretty good. That will happen to you. When that happens, we're all finished here, I think. No, we've got the little hole. It's going to do the little hole. Yeah, I forgot about that extra bobbin. That's going to make me lose sleep, Dawn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. It's mine. Anytime you're going to work on the back of the hoop, you always need matching bobbin thread. Now it's ready to jump into doing the name, which I've already done. So basically we're finished. So now I've got this all done here. Okay, let me switch cameras. All right, so look how that turned out the way I fixed it. You can't even tell that there was a problem. I will trim up that little thread that wants to be difficult, but you can't tell that there was a problem. So that's the way to fix a thread break. You want to jump back 10 to 20 stitches just before where it happened, and then keep going after that, clean up any of the mess. So when you do that, you're essentially going to where you trimmed your stitches to clean them up. You back up 10 or 20 stitches, it's going to lock those stitches in again, so they won't come loose where you did. So thank you, Margie. Yeah, she says, well done. All right, so that's the first part of getting this done, and now we need to trim it up. Let's talk about trimming it up. So now I think we're ready to take it out of the hoop, right, Dawn?
Yes, remove hoop from machine. So we're on page 9, step 16. Remove hoop from machine and the design from the hoop.
So we're ready to pop it out.
Yes.
There we go. So I just popped it out.
So gratifying.
Yeah. Yay. Got that piece of it done. So that's all good. Awesome. I'm taped in various spots, which is fine. I'm taped to the hoop. Now we need to do some cleanup. I've got my rotary cutter here, but what I didn't do was bring a ruler. So I'm going to step away and find my ruler so I can cut this. So yeah.
One of the things that I recommend is, having a quilting ruler. And I think the majority of Becky's followers are quilting people and do a lot of in the hoop projects that require a quilting ruler. So I use a quilting ruler, and in the directions it will tell you where to trim it. Sometimes it's 1/4 of an inch, other times it's like right on the stitching. So for this one, we are going to trim along the outermost stitching lines.
Okay. And I think on this one, I did 1/8 of an inch. Right? Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's fine. That looks pretty snug.
Okay. So you're going to cut through the zipper here too. So the outermost stitching line, that's this little one that's right out here, right? No.
It is. And so can I offer a suggestion before you start trimming?
Of course.
One step back is tear away the stabilizer from the design. And the reason why I do that before trimming is because you will tear it against all the way up to the stitching. If you go ahead and trim it all, then you're going to have to get tweezers and try to get in there to rip away all that stabilizer that, and you're not going to have a lot of leverage on it. So this way, if you tear it all away right now, you're not going to have to go in there and tidy it up later.
I love that.
It's just a personal preference.
So what she's talking about is having enough of a handful right here to grab and pull it against the stitching nice and clean. See that? We don't have any extra fuzzies there, because if you cut it first, you don't have enough to get a hold of to pull it. Brilliant. Okay. I like that. So there's my strap. Yeah. So if you do, see how I don't have a lot to grab a hold of right there. So that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now,
I mean, when you do trim it, it'll be flush with what you've trimmed, but then you can still sometimes see the stabilizer in there.
Yeah. Okay, great. All righty. So this now, do I trim next to the double line or do I trim next to the outer stitch line?
Okay. So trim the window along the outermost stitching lines. So not the decorative double line inside, not there. We're not trimming there right now.
Not yet.
With a rotary cutter or scissors.
I see.
If you rotary cutter and a ruler, we're going to trim the outermost stitching.
Okay. So I'm going to leave 1/8 of an inch, and it's hard because the zipper is giving you, the zipper is giving you some bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you can, if you wish right now, if you want to trim the inside of the window, you can do that now. And then you can move the zipper to either side of where you're trimming.
Okay. Get that nice and clean right there. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a wiggle, but that's okay. You're supposed to do it right along next to it or just a little bit away from it? Okay.
Along it. So, if you want to do it outside of it a little bit, you can do that.
So cut on the stitching?
Yeah. It's okay though, because it doesn't matter, because in the end, when we put this on there, the reason to trim on the stitching is because then it gives you the exact placement of where it needs to be when you put it on the back of the next one. But if you want to trim it a little bit outside of the stitching, that's fine. It's all going to get cut off in the end.
Trim along the line, or I'm going to trim on that outer stitch line. Okay. And that way I know it's straight, and that is my placement for the next one. Perfect. That makes more sense. I like that. All right.
So it says in the directions, the line of stitching is there just for cutting purposes only. It's not to hold pieces together. There's no other reason for it. It's just to hold the piece. It's just for the cutting purposes only.
So, yeah, if you didn't make a note, I would add in to pull away the stabilizer now. Is that in there? I can't remember. I didn't.
So it says in step 16, remove the hoop from the machine and design from the hoop, tear away stabilizer from design.
Oh, okay.
And then it says on the back side, gently tear away the stabilizer from behind the clear vinyl and the back of the zipper. So okay. Those 2 steps of getting rid of the stabilizer are in there prior to trimming.
So I'm going to take my scissors now.
Yep.
And get into the stabilizer a little bit and get rid of this, right?
Yes. Be very careful though, you don't poke them through that clear vinyl.
You don't want to poke through the vinyl. Okay.
Yep.
I love this Silky Terry's. He's good stuff, you guys. Or that Pillon. I think I might get a bolt of that Pillon, 806. If you guys don't buy it up before I get there. I
haven't used the Sulky, so I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the comparison of both of them.
Write to Ellen March. I would, yeah. Hey, Ellen, FYI, hi. Yeah, I just went on a travel trip with her to London for Christmas. It was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Wow. It was great.
That sounds amazing.
That was with Craft Tours, and she was the hostess with the mostess, and we had a great time. All right, so I've gotten rid of all of this. Do I need to trim up this zipper up in here, or should I leave it, or what?
You get rid of the stabilizer behind the zipper at least.
Okay, I've got some fuzzies. Yeah, you don't want stabilizer behind your zipper. Great. I'm so glad you're here.
Me too.
This would go, this is so much fun doing it with somebody. This is a little fiddly, you guys, but as I always say, anything worth doing is fiddly. Just get that out of the way so that it doesn't show white paper behind the zipper when you open it. Yeah, I see that. That looks great. Here we go. Okay, so now I need to trim away all of that. I need straight scissors, not curved scissors for this. I've got some right over here, and y'all can check out my fly Crocs.
Nice.
Yeah, how about that? Keeping my toes warm. Okay, so I am going to trim most of this with a rotary. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
No, because if you use a rotary cutter in this instance, you will cut away the clear vinyl.
Yep, and the zipper.
Yep.
So you want straight.
So no, you are not using the rotary cutter right now.
No, you are not. You're just cutting away, and you can't do it from the back. You got to do it from the front.
Yes, because you want to see and trim as best you can along the stitching or close to the stitching.
It's good to do a pair of scissors with a long blade, because then as you move your scissor, it doesn't get all jagged. You want to trim a smooth cut as much as possible. Let me get in here so you guys can see what I'm doing. This is really very easy. You just have to know what the steps are talking about when you do it. That's the part that can be tricky. But Dawn has great instructions. And then
they'll be even greater.
Talking us through it is awesome. Okay.
So I'm not sure if you saw how Becky got into that to cutting this window out, but remember back in step number 6, where we placed the vinyl on top of all the stitching, and then we folded it, the top vinyl, the green vinyl back on itself, and we cut a little slit. That was the purpose of that little slit, was to be able to now simply slide your scissors into that little slit to be able to then get to the sides and start cutting that away, because that's just trash now. Or if you have other small projects, you can use that if you wish. but the purpose of that slit was to be able to slide your scissors in there to be able to start cutting, so that you don't have to try to, you know, fold it or whatever to get in there, and then you end up cutting the clear vinyl.
So this is not as straight, like I'm a little closer to the threads here than I am down here. I will go back when it's all said and done and clean that up and satisfy my OCD needs. But look, we put in a zipper. How about that? And we've got a vinyl window, which is great. And it looks amazing. I really like that, right?
Yeah, so that's also another, Patty said that is genius, Dawn. That's something I do when I'm doing applique too. And like if you're doing an applique letter, like the letter O, for example, and you put one big piece of fabric down over the placement stitching and you need to get that center out, you could do the same thing on applique designs as well when you have to cut out the inside of a design.
Yeah, I'm going to trim this out. Is that okay? I'm doing it. So
yeah, I just don't trim too close to it, to the stitching, because you want to have a little bit in there.
Yeah, I'm leaving like a quarter of an inch. I just don't want the vinyl or the zipper side to poke out from the sides. So I'm just trimming the vinyl within a quarter of an inch, you guys. That's what I'm doing. Get a little wider so I know that you guys can see what I'm doing here. So let me get this. And that's just for my own. I don't like anything to poke out the sides. Okay. So this will be trimmed down eventually, right?
So one of the things that in step 19, after you cut the inside of that, one of the things it states is the finished size of the entire window. That whole piece that Becky is holding right now is called the window. That piece needs to be 3.5 inches wide, so 3.5 inches wide by 4.75 inches high, or 4 3/4 inches high. So if you put it down, you can look at and make sure those are the exact dimensions that you have. And the reason why this is important is in the next hooping, we need to make sure what it's going to fit where it needs to be placed. So 3.5 inches wide by 4 3/4 inches high. And that looks pretty spot on. That's why you need to trim along that outermost stitching. So that gives you that dimensions. Perfect. Not inside the stitching, not outside the stitching, on the stitching.
Got you. I love it. And that worked great.
The gauge of vinyl is 16 gauge. And we've talked about that earlier. And this is being recorded, so you can go back and watch this as many times as you wish to your liking, because it's being recorded.
Okay. Yeah. So now we're ready for the second hooping, yeah?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So now this time.
Actually, you need to trim up the strap.
Oh, yeah. Got to trim up the strap. And again, pull the stabilizer away before cutting it, right?
Yeah. So pull away all that, tear away all that stabilizer the best you can from the stitching. That way, when you go ahead and you cut it, and I've seen the directions, it says 1.4 inches. It's actually supposed to be 1/4 inch away from the stitching on all 4 sides.
On the strap, 1/4 inch away?
Yeah, or an 1/8. You did an 1/8. I just prefer 1/4 inch because it leaves a little bit more vinyl around it, but an 1/8 inch works too.
Oh, I see. But for the strap, it doesn't, yeah.
It does not go, you do not cut on the stitching because there's only one line of stitching there. So if you cut on the stitching, you're separating your parts and.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So handy use of one of the accessories I got in my Brother tool bag, my little accessory bag from Brother. Let me get it out of here. Is eyelet maker, my little eyelet tool. And I keep a little old paper clip in mine so that I can get in there and clean it out. But I use the eyelet tool. I think this is large enough for that Chicago screw. Let me put this down, right? And
this might be.
Well, it was for the cam snap. We'll see. But at least
Okay, yeah,
it gives
you
me a
might have to
starting
just,
point.
yes, and that's perfect. I'm looking for mine to see, because there's something else that I use that's not necessary. It just makes a bigger hole. But you know, it's, sorry for the
Yeah,
noise.
it
I'm
all
trying,
went
gotta
right up
find
in
mine.
there. There's that vinyl that. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's good. And then I need to trim this. I'm going to use the 1/8 mark on this. Where's my rotary cutter? Greatest invention since the weed eater, y'all, was the rotary cutter.
Have you tried
Absolutely.
the one? Have you tried the one from Famore Cutlery?
I have. I used it for quite some time, and it works great. And I just, call me an old dog, I just gravitate back toward Olfa all the time.
Do you?
I do. I just, as a quilter, I have great success with my Olfa. It feels good in my hand. I just am, maybe it's because that's what I started with. I don't know, but that's how I roll. So
Yeah.
I do. I go back to it. I have a Martelli. I have Olfa. I have got all different kinds of rotary cutters. You know, companies send me things to try out, and I try them, and they're great. But this is the one. The Olfa old school one is the one I like. Okay, so that's great. That's all. Look how great that is. I've got some jump stitches I need to trim up. If you're brand new to embroidery, the little bitty stitches between, hold on. The little bitty stitches between the letters. See those little stitches? Those are called jump threads, jump stitches. If you ever want to give a gift or do a really nice finish to your project, be sure to go in with a little pair of snips and trim away those jump threads. That is like the last thing you'll do before the project is completely finished, but it just looks very unfinished without trimming those jump threads. So sometimes a poorly digitized design will have a gazillion jump threads because the digitizer didn't create a tie off where it should have. So that's another indicator of a well digitized design, because there's all kinds out there, you guys. And you'll get some and it'll have 8 million jump threads and you'll be like, ugh, I'm here until Christmas. So, all right. Right, Dawn?
True, but I also, as a digitizer, have to put in there, sometimes when you take a design into software, if your software changes something in there, it's not always the digitizer who doesn't have it set to jump stitches. It could be a setting in the software. If you took it into software, added something to it, and resaved it as a new file. So there's one thing. And then the other thing is there are some formats that do not cut jump stitches. EXP is one of them. And so
Oh, really?
sometimes you will see jump stitches in the design, and that's not because they weren't put in there. It could be just the format, because some of the machines don't have the ability to trim.
Correct. That's right. I know my PE 770 didn't do that. So
Yeah.
if you're stitching on something and it's got a jump stitch that goes way across your design, give it an opportunity to tie in and start going 3 or 4 stitches. Stop the machine and go back and cut that jump thread. And that way you won't accidentally stitch it down into your design, right? Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's also important to remember you can trim those jump stitches on the top of your project, really close to the, where the ends of the jump stitch, but on the back of your project, leave a tail, because if you don't leave a tail, if you trim them completely off, you're essentially almost cutting the knot off.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Good tip. Thank you. Okay. So now I'm going to be working on, I'm going to show you how I hoop a magnetic hoop. Now, if you've got the Designs and Machine embroidery hoop, you want to put your stabilizer on and then lay your corrugated plastic on here halfway, drop the top onto it and pull the corrugated plastic out. You'll get a nice smooth hooping. On this brother hoop, I'm going to take the larger magnet that goes on the end, and I kind of start in the middle and just let it snap to, just like that. And so I kind of push it away, you know, and not go underneath, push it away. And see, now I've got a bit of a bubble. So that's a downside. You've got to kind of hold these taut. There, that works. Hold it taut to the outside. And this has a little indicator with an arrow that goes to the inside of the hoop. Okay. It will bite your fingers, so be careful. This thing is serious. There we go. Whoop, it's backwards. I love this little hoop. I really do. It's great. Okay, so we're all hooped. Got a good little bounce to it there. That's good. And I'm ready to go back into the machine. Okay. And we're going to go here. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to pull up the second part of the design. And Dawn, what page are we on?
We are on page 10, and it is step 21, awesome, where it says hooping 2.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back home, and it says, do you want to cancel the current pattern? I'm going to tell it okay. I'm going to go into embroidery and the memory, and I want to go to wireless. I sent it over here using Embrilliance. And I'm going to scroll down to tag, luggage tag 2, right there, and set. And there it is. And it says, touch my bag and I'll rip your seams out. And I'm going to tell it embroidery. I don't need to do anything else to it at all. And we are ready to go. And the very first stitch is the placement line. And I'm going to go ahead and change, let's see, what's my first thread color that's going to be seen? Is the yellow. So I'm going to leave my yellow on there right now and just tell it to go. All right. There we go. Perfect. Okay. I forgot what button to push. I got too many buttons, too many cameras. Yeah. Okay, so it's doing the placement line for the second piece of vinyl. And that is the 3.5 by 5 piece. Okay. Or yes, piece B, as you would want to call it, or something, Dawn. I don't know. That's completely up to you. All right. So now I need to put this on. And I'm going to pull up my cut and press for my lap work. Okay. And I don't know if you can see the lines, but I can. I'm going to put my little things in there. And it fits just right inside that line. It's a little bit bigger than it needs to be, but I guess that's okay. Bigger is better than too small. So that's perfect right there. And now I'm going to tape it in place. And I don't want to tape it in too far because you've got decorative stitching that's going to happen. Yeah, you guys don't forego the tape. Okay, that's not a good idea. Well, and just make sure this is laying down nice and flat. Dawn, this is an experience for you watching somebody make your design, isn't it?
It is. I'm loving it. Because it also shows me where, you know, I can improve things on instructions and photos and things like that. So it's great to see it from someone else's perspective.
So Tina has a question. Can you repeat what you said about jump stitches and cutting? Want to make sure you don't cut too much. So why don't you jump on that?
Okay, so on the top of your project, the front of your project, the project where you will see your upper thread, your decorative, colorful thread, you can trim close to the stitching, those jump stitches on the front of your project. On the back of your project, your bobbin thread, the jump stitches should not be cut close to the stitching. You want to leave a little bit of a tail. The reason being is when you go and stitch, the first part of the design that stitches, it is a knot. And so sometimes it's in the same spot. Sometimes it goes like this. Sometimes it's a triangle. It just depends on how it was digitized. But when you cut your bobbin thread close to the stitching, you're essentially cutting off those ends that, you know, if you think of having a knot, whenever you have a knot, when you're sailing or when you're fishing, anywhere where you have a knot, you can't have the knot at the very end of the two pieces of rope or thread, because then it just pulls apart. So that is why you should never cut the bobbin thread all the way very close to the stitching, because then if you do, it's just it's playing with fire, in the sense that washing it or any kind of, you know, movement that it gets or something, it could unravel and your top thread will start unraveling. And then you go, that digitizer was crappy. They didn't tie it off, and the digitizer did tie it off. But when you guys cut the bobbin thread all the way to the ends and cut it all off to make it all nice and neat and pretty on the backside, then you're asking for trouble with cutting off the knots potentially. So that's what that's all about.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. We are at step number 23, and that is the decorative stitching. And the first thing is the sewing machine, and that's pink for me. So I'm going to do a thread color change. So now on the top for trimming jump threads, I snip it. There's a natural tension that occurs between where the tie off happened on where it stopped, then it jumps, and where the tie off begins. Okay, for the next one. So what I do is I allow it to jump ahead, tie itself off, and get to go in 3 or 4 stitches, and then I'll stop the machine and I cut the jump thread on the top. Dawn was talking about the bobbin thread on the bottom. On the top, I trim it where it jumped to. I stitch that first. I trim that little end of it first. The reason is there's a natural tension between point A and point B. So I trim at point B. And what happens is that little tiny thread, like in the case of in between these little bitty letters, okay, there's a natural tension and that thread will pop up and you can grab it with some tweezers and trim it very cleanly. So that's, you know, from a digitizer's perspective, I get what she's saying about the knots on the bottom. It's going to be fine. Just let it get to going a little bit. But that jump thread on the top, that's how I trim them off. So I need to put in pink thread. I need my scissors, and I don't have my little tray over here. I usually have a tray sitting right in front of me with all of my my tools of the trade, and I make it a habit to put them all right back into the tray so that I'm not searching all over Kingdom Come for my scissors, which I do frequently. So I try to keep it all in one spot. And then I can't find my glasses and they're on my head. And you know how that works, right? Okay. So pull this through. Now, I did not use as many thread colors as Dawn, as the digitizer put in, and you don't have to do that, okay? I'm ready to go. It's going to start stitching the sewing machine. So on my first one I did on the machine, I just used pink and black. There's different colors in the design for down here or on the handle. You can use whatever you want. Don't feel like you've got to exactly follow, in this case, whatever the stitching is for that. So we've got, this is a 3-minute stitch. So we have a little bit of time. Dawn, if you need a break, I can take over a little bit. If you guys would like to have a comfort break, you've got a couple of minutes while this is stitching out. So that's kind of nice. Yeah. Okay, and don't bother trimming the threads between lettering. Most of the time, most people don't notice the threads. Patty, that's true, but you know, it depends on how far apart those letters are. But I think you're right. I think the average bear doesn't really know a jump thread from anything else. And if you look on commercial, you know, if it's got lettering commercially, a lot of times it'll have jump threads too. You can see that. So Candace says she loves your patterns, Dawn.
Thank you, Candace. I appreciate that. Thank you.
She's been scrolling through them. Yeah. I'm going to go get my little snips and show you guys what I use.
Gail said when she does an alphabet, she changes each letter to a different color. So she has no jump stitches, but she stays. So when she creates the design, either I'm assuming either on her machine, like the word Candace, like Becky sewed today, on the machine, she changed each letter to a different color. That way the machine will stop. But when she's on the machine itself stitching it, she uses only one color of thread. So that way it ensures that the machine will stop, tie off, and cut. And then the machine will stop, assuming there's a color change. But Gail just presses the start button again and starts stitching again with the same color thread. And then that way it kind of ensures and guarantees that there is no jump stitches, because the machine is reading it as separate thread color changes, when in reality it's all the same thread color that she's using to stitch with, but the machine is reading it differently. So that's a great tip, Gail. Thank you for sharing that.
I just got a notice of a low battery, so I'm taking care of that. Okay. When I switch stuff all over the room, sometimes things don't get plugged back in. So my laptop is happy now. Okay, that looks really good. Next is the outline, and that's a thread color change to black. For me, is the way I'm doing it. So let's see here. You guys can watch me do that. It's so much quicker, you guys, to change thread colors this way. This is the way they do it in industry, is they tie off at the top and pull through at the bottom, just like you would do on a serger, you know, especially a serger or a cover stitch machine. You want to tie off at the top and pull through. And look how easy that is and quick. Yeah. And we're ready to go. All right. So I'm going to show you guys how I trim up my jump threads. Oh, let me hit that.
Becky, can you answer a question that was asked a while ago? Someone asked, what needle are you using? What size needle?
Oh, okay. That's a great question. I am using an Organ 7511 needle. So this is what I do. I buy them by the 100. Okay. And it's the EBBR, I believe. They didn't put it on that one. EBBR 7511 EBBR. Okay. Now, if you own a Brother or Baby Lock machine, you got Organ needles in your little accessory kit when you got the machine. If you bought it new, or, you know, it might have been in there. There's a reason for that. Brother and Baby Lock machines are timed at the factory with Organ needles. I was using a Schmetz for a very long time, just like I was doing in my garment sewing. And when I started doing embroidery with Schmetz needles on a Brother machine, I started having thread shredding issues. And as soon as I switched to the Organ, all of that problem stopped. So nothing against Schmetz needles. They're fantastic. But for embroidery on Brother or Baby Lock machines, they prefer the Organ needles, because it's, I got a little pop-up pink thread I don't want right here. And I'm just going to keep going and do my little hand wheel in black. I'm not going to do a thread color change. But the speed of the thread passing through the needle with embroidery is much different than garment sewing. Sewing, you're controlling it. You can see this is stitching a lot faster than I would do it if I was sewing a garment. So, and my bobbins, I use Dimes pre-wound 7511, size 15, 70D, which is a 60 weight bobbin. And I link to these below, not the dime version, but I've got another brand that works just as well. And because I know how you people are, I ordered a whole nother box for me, because these are out of stock. The dime ones are out of stock. I've been looking around for them. I can't find them. So I ordered another box for me. Now y'all can go get whatever you need. Because I know how they are. They'll snatch them up. So I'll just show you quickly. I like to keep this little tray. I've got my Ginger curved embroidery scissors for trimming in the hoop if you need to do that. I've got a pair of duck bills for cutting away stabilizer from garments. I've got an iron away friction marker. I've got my little brother screwdriver, a pair of glasses, have to have. I have a stylus for the screen. I use Fomore little spring action snips, a pair of Revlon eyebrow tweezers. These are great. And then I've got a USB in here for my clear blue tiles or whatever. So that's what's in my little tray that I like to keep all. Now these scissors that I've been using are for my SCANNCUT right here. So I'll just put them in there for right now.
You look like you're ready for surgery.
You know it. Absolutely. Next is the faceplate and the needle. I'm going to do that in black as well, just because I'm a little lazy. So we'll let that stitch. So what I was talking about.
No one ever.
Yeah, I said no one ever. Okay, so let me get in here real close and show you guys what I'm going to do. All right. So I need my little Fomore snips. That's these. Fomore is a fantastic scissor company. Anything sharp and pokey is great. All right. So this is what I do. The thread, the jump thread went from the N to the D. Okay. I'm going to turn this around so it's right to me. So I'm going to get my little tip under there and cut it at the D and give it a little tension. All right. Now that thread has popped up. I can grab it with my eyebrow tweezer and trim it. And look how clean that is between the N. Hold on. Look how clean that is between the N and the D. It's perfect. Okay. So that's how I trim. Think about from point A to point B. I'm going to cut it at point B. It went from the C to the E. I'm going to get in here, get underneath it, give it a little tension and pull, and it pops straight up. Otherwise, it'll pop up, but not as clean. There. And now it's perfect. So I'll go through and do that through the rest of these. Okay. So that's how I trim jump threads. All right. What is my next stitch is
touch my and all yours.
Yeah, the lettering. So let me get out here, come back up. We're going to do a thread color change. All right. If you have a multi-needle, you certainly can do this design in a multi-needle. And up until this point, you would be putting a stop in between. You'll program in a stop, put your little hand stop up in between every single thing that you're doing. But when you, now the beauty of the multi-needle is when you get to this part, you just have to program your threads, you know, the colors that you want to go through this, and you're not doing these individual little thread changes. So that is the beauty of that. All right, this is great. Lots of lettering. This is a 4-minute stitch right here. Let it do its thing. Okay. Awesome, awesome. You've noticed your baby lock loves the organ needles. Yes, absolutely, Vicki. That's right. That's because it was timed at the factory. Yep. You know, and it doesn't tell you that in your book. When you get the machine, it doesn't say, hey, be sure to use this kind of needle because it'll like it better. It just throws it in the accessory case and you're like, well, let me just use my Schmetz or let me use whatever. No, that's... So, yeah, y'all don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you so much, Melanie. I appreciate that. Yes. Oh, well, that's a good thing there. Hold on. I need to move my little tray. Let's see. How about this? The designs purchased from Dawn don't have very many jump stitches. That's because Dawn's a great digitizer, you guys. Absolutely. Yeah. So, and now let's talk about digitizing a little bit while we have a minute, Dawn. I understand. So like if I needed something digitized, like I did my husband's boat. I took a picture of the boat and I sent it to a digitizer who digitizes by hand. Wasn't you, it was another lady up in British Columbia. So talk to me about the difference between digitizing by machine and digitizing by hand, because I hear a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, we'll just let the computer do it," but I'm not entirely sure that's the best way. What do you say?
So how long do you have? Yeah. So
Minutes.
if you're doing auto digitizing and taking an image into software and just pressing a button to auto digitize it, you could potentially get a decent design stitch out. However, you're not going to get a lot of times the correct pathing, how you want it to stitch out from, in the correct order. Sometimes when you auto digitize, it'll take a small spot and make that like a satin stitch. And then they'll take another spot and make it all fill stitch or tatami. And so, yeah, my software that I use all the time, and Embrilliance software and Embird software and PE design, all of them have an auto digitized button that you could just press the button and say, turn this into stitches. But the problem with that is it doesn't necessarily do exactly a high quality design that you want to have stitched out. So anything, just like anything in life, anything worth doing with quality, you need to take time, you need to look through it. I mean, it's not as easy as just pushing a button and having it automatically create a beautiful design. And so manually digitized is what we call it in the industry, meaning that we go through the design from beginning to end, make sure everything is correctly sequenced properly, correctly done in the right order. And that way it ensures that the design is going to have correct pathing. The start and finishes are going to be, start at the top left, finish at the bottom right. The next thing will start at the bottom right and go around. So you have less time of the machine traveling from left to right, top to bottom, up and down. Because that takes time, right? That takes time for your machine to travel that distance. If you have a design that you're stitching out and part of the design is up here and the other part of the design is down here, and if it stitches here and knots off and trims and then jumps down and then goes down here, then ties in and then knots and then stitches and then ties off, you have wasted a lot of time, because every time the machine has to stop and tie off and trim, that takes, I don't know, I've never timed it, but let's just say 10 seconds. So every time you do that, with even if when I'm talking when it's not a thread color change, so you're stitching the same color, and you could have easily just stitched here, the running stitch go down, and then stitch down here. Those stitches would have saved you time with having to tie in and the machine moving. So yeah, when you get into this hobby or craft or do it as a business, you'll learn really quickly where are the designs and the quality of designs that are manually digitized and those that are just digitized by the press of a button. And there are a lot out there that do that do automatic digitizing, and you'll start to learn pretty quickly where those places are and that you might not want to, spend a lot of your money there, because it's about time, and it's about, you want to enjoy this hobby, enjoy this craft and have a great time with it. But also, you want to have something of high quality. You're spending your time and a lot of money. This is not a cheap hobby. And so when you go ahead and you have a design that's not great quality, and it's auto digitized, it's something that you want to have pride in what you do, right? And so that's one of the things that, manual digitizing gives you, that control to be able to determine what size satin stitch you want, if it's going to the correct pathing of it and everything. And then, we need to talk about, when you take a design, sometimes You'll take a design either into your machine or into software, and your software will be set, or your machine will be set to stitch it in the least amount of steps. And when you do that and you sew something in the least amount of steps, it does something what is called color sorting, where it will take all of the same colors that the design was digitized in and put them all into one step. And so that way it makes a design that may have been 21 steps, and it'll put it into 13 steps. Well, then you'll all of a sudden see that the eyes are stitching before the applique fabric was put down. And you go, wait a minute, what's wrong with this? And so you have to go back and look at the original design that you downloaded to see that in the instructions, do the instructions say there's 21 steps for the design, and all of a sudden your design on your machine only has 13 steps? That you need to look at that to see, because that's pretty much guarantees that your machine or your software color sorted it and made it less steps. And that's not always the best, because that's not, it needs to be stitched in the order it was digitized in order to, because designs are built from the back to the front, right? And you don't want to stitch the decorative flower on the front of a little girl's dress before all of the fill stitch, because then the flower is going to be covered up.
Right. So real quick, look what happened. Got a problem. See that? That happens. It was something with the thread, probably. Something happened with the thread, obviously not with the design. So again, this is where you're going to use that needle plus minus button, okay? So, all right. So I'm going to go back in the needle plus minus before I do my thread color change, because next it wants a thread color change. So again, when stuff like this happens, guys, and it does happen, okay, don't freak out. Just, okay, get your wits about you and say, all right, that happened. Let me go back and fix that. It's handy if you know why it happened. But in this case, I don't care why it happened. I just need to fix it. So I'm going to jump back over to the camera on my machine. All right. And I am going to be looking now. I need to go into my needle plus minus. I'm going to go back a step. And now I'm going to watch the little crosshair on the screen to figure out right when it gets to the O. And I'm just going to hit plus 100. This is a wag. And see, that's a wild guess. I'm going to 100 one more time. And I'm into the O. So now I'm going to back 10. I'm looking at the screen. Oh, I'm going to plus back to the T. There's the very first stitch on the O. I'm going to tell it okay. And let me stitch this right now. Okay. Now you got to keep your eye on it and stop it when it gets ready to do, when it does the tie off and the O is finished. There we go. I don't know what happened, y'all. That happens. Okay. It's going to stop. There's the tie off. And it's going to kick it. Perfect. All done. Now I'm going to go back into, see, it's easy to fix. It's an easy fix. We don't know why these things happen. Don't care. And I'm going to jump ahead a thread. And now I'm ready to do a thread color change. And get started on the next color. So it's an easy fix when that kind of stuff happens, guys. I know sometimes you'll get it and you'll be like, what happened? Don't worry about that. I'm going to go back to my bright yellow. Where did the bright yellow tail go? It fell down. I'm going to move this thread and just run it from right here. So, but one of the things I love to show on the channel, and when I do videos and whatnot, is mistakes like that. Whether it's my fault, the machine's fault, the thread's fault, the needle's fault, whoever's, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. The point is when you see that, you're like, it's okay, I can fix this, not a big deal. This too in time shall pass. I need to open my tension discs. There we go. Yeah. And that's fine. Machine embroidery is one of the most recoverable. The only thing you cannot recover is if it pops out of the hoop. Otherwise, you're good. All right, so we are ready to go. We've got another 5 minutes on this stitch, it looks like. Yeah, I think this is the, yep, that's the lettering, so good. So, okay, let's get back to this. There, awesome.
So Julianne asked if I am self-taught as a digitizer. I am self-taught as a digitizer. I didn't take any classes or, you know, where do you go to learn digitizing? I mean, now you can learn, there are people that are teaching software and teaching how to digitize. But when I started 13 years ago, there wasn't much around and YouTube wasn't like it is now. So yeah, I'm pretty much self-taught, but you know, I do still watch, you know, programs and things like that to see what other people do, because, you know, there are other techniques and things that are incorporated, and people do things different ways. You know, they have a different thought process and a different way of doing it. So I love to see what other people do as well, to see if something that could make my designs or process faster, easier, and better for my customers.
Oh, Melinda wants to know, which is better, the Ginger embroidery versus the Femore embroidery scissors? I think that's a very personal choice. Use the scissors that don't hurt your fingers, and don't go cheap on those. That's my only piece of advice. Don't go cheap on your embroidery scissors. I've had these scissors for more than 10 years. Okay. They're $40, $50 a pair. Don't go cheap. The cheap ones hurt your fingers. But these are the Ginger. These are the ones that I use. These are the ones I have linked below. If you want Femore and you want to try them out, go ahead. The reason I say it's a personal choice is because they are manufactured differently, and the Ginger ones may not sit the same in your hand. If you have an opportunity to try them out, like at a quilt show, do that and see which ones you like better. But that's my personal advice. So I don't own any of the Femore ones except for the little spring snips. Those are ones I use for that. But I don't have them, not because I don't like them. I don't have them because I had the Gingers already, and that's what I bought. What about you, Dawn? What do you use?
So I started with the Ginger and the double curve, 6-inch double curve, and I absolutely love those. I was at a quilt festival one time and got the Femore ones. The reason why I love the Femore is because he has an entire line of scissors for left-handed people, and I am left-handed. And so that is a huge difference for me. The other thing that I love about Femore, with their rotary cutter blades and all of their scissors, they have lifetime free sharpening. So if you buy their stuff, all you have to pay for is shipping and handling. You send it to them, they sharpen your scissors and rotary cutter blades and send them back. This whole theory that you need to replace your rotary cutter blade with every project is not true.
No,
it's not. You don't. You can go 3 to 4 years with the same rotary cutter blade. It's all about how you're trimming, and it's not that the blade gets nicked, it's that the blade gets bent. And it's because of people, you know, that have always been taught to do the rotary cutter in the center of your body, put it in the center of your body. Well, you can't physically get your hand in that position. So actually you need to put it over by your hip and have the quilting ruler and your rotary cutter at your hip, the side of your hand, wherever what-handed you are, and cut that way. And that way your blade is going to stay 90 degrees perpendicular to your cutting mat.
That's a great tip. I never thought about that. And that's all about ergonomics as well. Instead of you giving the shoulder tension for the pullover, you're doing it where it's over here. And I guess I've always cut with it on my right, and I do cut at, I just never realized I was doing that, but that's a good point. Yeah, if it's in the center, I don't see as well than it being over. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. You can tell you're a lefty. She's very creative. She's got that creative vibe going on, and I'm not. I'm a right-handed person, so I'm left-brained, and I'm very analytical, and I'm really good at figuring out things, you know, troubleshooting, doing this and that. But you want me to design something, forget it. Not happening. That is not my gift. I can't match colors. I always say I would join the military so they could pick my clothes for me. I didn't have to figure that out. Yeah, I did 20 years in the military, so I didn't have to choose my own clothes. But I did join the Air Force, so the blue matched my eyes. I look better in
Go
blue.
blue.
Yeah, that's right. Go Big Blue.
We're retired Air Force too, 28 years.
That's awesome. So everything else is stitching out really, really well on this one. So that's great. Everything's doing good. My mother is left-handed, and I learned to sew from her. So for years, think of standing at the table or the side of the sewing machine and watching her iron. I iron backwards. I iron with the big wide end over here on my left. So I ironed backwards because my mother was a lefty, and she did. She's extremely creative in that sense, and she hogged all the creative genes. I didn't get any of those, but yeah. So, yep. Margie likes uniforms for work. Yep, you don't have to think; they're easier to clean. Yeah, and I think because I make no secret about the fact that I am not a creative person, that those people who want to create but are not creative, I've got a load of those that watch my channel because they're like, if she can do it, I can do it. But I just get patterns or that I like. I know what I like, but I can't do it myself. And so, good. We're almost done. The last stitch is the decorative stitching around the outside. I'm not changing my thread color, and off I go. Changing my thread color is paralyzing to me. I cannot figure that out, so I'm just going to leave it be, and it's going to look great. And I know that because that's what I did on this one. So the last thing that stitches are the yellow letters and the yellow outside there. So Julie wants to know if your husband or both of you are retired Air Force.
So my husband is retired Air Force. I was the spouse that followed him around for 23 years, but he was 28 years.
That's awesome.
He was 28 years, so.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being a spouse is tough too. My mom was a spouse. She was a Navy spouse, and then Dad switched to the Air Force. So I was raised as a brat. Did 20 years myself. Keith did 20 as well, and then we went civil service and stayed put in San Antonio. But yeah, it's a great way of life. How do you spell the scissors for left-handed people? What, Deborah? What?
So I think she's asking about Famore. It's FAMORE, and their website was just updated, and it's called FAMCUT. So it's FAMCUT, famcut.com. And
did they change their company name or what?
No. It's just easier, I guess, because people would have a hard time with Famore because it's an Italian name, and so the spelling became challenging, I think. I'm just guessing on that, but yeah, it's their website is FAMCUT, and we were talking about rotary cutters before. I love their rotary cutter because it has ball bearings inside of it, so you don't have to use as much pressure and force the blade to go. So
I got a boo-boo. I got a big boo-boo. I double stitched the last stitch without putting the tag together.
Well, just go back.
That's right.
But you have a step before that. You have to attach the.
That's what I didn't do. We were talking.
You have to attach the strap, and then we have to attach the lining and the pocket.
Well, I missed all those steps.
Oh,
I missed all those steps.
I didn't know you were doing that because I didn't see the machine. I thought you were still doing the lettering.
Nope. That's why I said I had a thread color change I wasn't going to do. Okay, how do I fix it, Dawn?
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back a few steps, and because we have to put so much more down now.
Okay.
All right.
So here's what I'm going to do. Am I going to open up this line right here?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can either open it or you can put it down on
What do you mean
the
put it
back.
down?
You can, well, yeah, you can put it down on the back of the hoop and not have to rip out anything. That's not the way it's digitized. Rip it out.
Really?
Just,
I mean, I
yeah,
can, yeah. Hold on. And I didn't do my pocket or any of that. My lining or nothing.
no, yeah. The lining, the pocket, the inside,
The whole
all,
9
and the
yards.
back.
We were talking and I didn't do that step.
We're having so much fun visiting.
I know. So, okay, how can I fix it? So rip it out.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Well, so either if you rip it out, you're going to have to rip it all out,
I don't want to do that.
Or we can just stitch over it.
I can stitch over it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just stitch over it. I think it'll be fine. So on the back, right?
So on the back, can you find that little line, that was there?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to place it. You didn't change the bobbin. So the white is now going to be facing up, right?
Yes.
So
got it.
So you're going to have it facing up towards you. So now overlay that a bit, and then you're going to tape it in place. You're going to want to tape it towards the outside, not underneath, because then that's going to get like covered up, and you don't really want to have the tape in there. If you don't want to, doesn't matter.
Just
okay.
Like
so right now we're on the back side of the hoop. Normally this, in the instructions, it would be done on the front side of the hoop because this is before the stitching, but Becky went ahead and did the outline stitching. So right now we're going to do it on the back side of the hoop. All right. So now we're on step 25, page 13, and it says on the back side of the hoop, that's where we are right now. Place the fabric, piece A, fabric, right side up. Okay, so right side up, centered over the stitching. All right.
Yep.
Now we have an optional step. Are you doing the pocket or no?
I don't have enough fabric for the pocket. I can.
Okay, so
let me go into my scrap basket.
Okay.
I just didn't make it big enough for the pocket. The fabric is supposed to be 3.5 by 7.
Yeah, it's fine. Just leave that. So if you were there, there's a step in the instructions, an optional pocket. If you wanted to do the pocket, you would do that now. Okay. So we're not doing that right now, but this is when you would put it down.
So
all right.
So now it would be just this piece and it would be folded, right?
No. So you need that piece right there. You need that piece because that's the back. That's the inside back.
Oh, the inside lining back. Got you.
Right. And then the pocket would go on top of that.
Got you.
So it would be 3.5 by 7 folded in half with the fold at the top. Or not at the top. It would the raw edges. So the blue is the pocket, and you would take a 3.5 inch by 7 inch, fold it in half. The fold would be, oh, this is so backwards. Sorry. The fold would be at the top here, but you would have all the raw edges on both sides and the bottom meeting up with the lining piece, which is the pink here. And then that way that gives you that pocket. Okay. So I think Becky went to grab some fabric, but that's where you would place the pocket down so that if you want that inside pocket.
Right. So this will be the inside lining. So let me move this. See, you guys, everything is recoverable unless it comes out of the hoop. Right. So this needs to be 3.5 by 7. Is that correct?
It needs to, yes, 3.5 inches wide by 7 inches high.
All righty.
Folded in half.
Got you.
Lengthwise.
Right
3.5 by 7.
Gotcha. Like this.
Yes, like that.
Okay.
And now you fold it in half. Wrong sides together.
Yeah.
Yep. And now the fold, now you will take the raw edges and place those even with the bottom of the lining and the sides of the lining. So the fold will come out. Yep. And it's not all the way at the top. See that
Right.
there's area left.
Yep.
So Becky just did what I stated. Okay. So
Yes.
now we're going to place the window from step 1 on top of all of that. We're aligning all the raw edges, the top, the bottom, the left, the right. And because we cut that piece, the window piece from the first hooping exactly to the size that it needed to be, it fits on there exactly where it needs to be. Okay. Make sure that the zipper is towards the top. And this is going to be, I guess we say right sides out. So the clear vinyl, the decorative stitching, and the pull tab from the zipper are all going to be facing you. Phyllis, the pocket goes exactly where we just placed it. So you place the lining down, the full size lining, and then the pocket. Because if you do it in the reverse order, the pocket's going to be inside of the lining, and then you're not going to be able to access it. Your pocket needs to go on top. That's correct. It needs to go on top of the lining, but behind the window, the vinyl window that we're doing right now.
And I'm going to put a piece of tape over my zipper tab so it doesn't scratch my machine. That will make me happy.
Great idea.
Okay.
Yep.
So now I'm just going to run this last stitch again. Is what I'm going to do.
So can you turn it over for me?
Yeah, just
again, Becky, please.
Yep.
All right, so I think that Julianne mentioned careful when it stitches. The strap might be a problem since it's on the bottom now. I think it'll be okay because she taped it down. But if you want to like tape it down again up towards the hoop, but I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be okay.
I can do that.
And remember, the strap is not folded in half right now. It is straight and it's hanging out above the hoop.
There, I got more tape. Does that make you happy, Julie? You just realized that. Should have reversed your fabric. Yeah. Sorry, you guys. That's all my fault. I got ahead and didn't pay attention to what I was doing. So there we go. I will probably go in and edit this video to get it in the right order. All right. So now I am going to go back and it says it's finished. I'm going to go back one. There we go. I'm going to let it stitch again. Yeah, you guys, we got to visiting and forgot. I forgot. So it's going to stitch again and put that together. And that's where, this is where you also want to make sure you're using the same color bobbin as the top thread so that it looks just as pretty on the outside of both sides. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
You did it backwards on your fabric too, Phyllis? Yeah, that happens. Well, Betty Boop, you know, no, I'm sorry. I don't see a text message from you. You could have texted me and said, stop. I'm not blaming you. It's fine. Y'all, this happens to me all the time. This happens to me all the time. I make mistakes like it's my job. And that's one of the reasons that Cheryl, the vinyl is 16 gauge. Okay. That's one of the reasons that I embroider, my projects turn out usually pretty good because I have to fix boo-boos all the time. Yep. No, I didn't slow it down, Dee. You didn't see me slow the machine down at all. It's finished for the outer one. That's it. There we go. Yay. This is what it should look like when it's done. Yeah, with all that tape. Oh boy, what a mess. Yeah. So it worked out. I'll probably stitch this one again and make sure I've got the right bobbin thread this time, because it is much, much prettier with the bobbin thread the same color. I just didn't think about it, and I forgot that I had done that the first time. And so you definitely are going to want bobbins the same color. That I would recommend, if I could, Dawn, in your supplies, to include, add a bobbin of the same color as the top. You're going to want it.
It's in there.
Is it?
It's in there. Bobbin
see?
with matching top thread color.
Oh, well, see, I just didn't read
but
that.
I don't think it's not in this step. I had it in the step for the top part.
Yeah, but in the list of supplies,
it is. It's in the list of supplies. Bobbin with matching top thread color. That's okay.
Yep. My fault. Okay. So this is what she was talking about, having to get in with tweezers to clean this out, because this is not a lot of fun getting all this apart, right? So, all right. So, yeah, I will make another one of these. This is another reason too. Deborah Jones from Designs and Machine Embroidery says there are those who test and those who wish they did.
Yeah.
Right. So
yes,
you can pull this apart up in here. And again, if you've got a good tear away, it's going to come out very cleanly against that stitch. But I did it right on the first one I made, y'all. I did do it right on the first one here. So this is the way I did it on the first one. I did it all right. I followed the instructions step by step. It turned out just beautiful. And I used matching thread on the bobbin as well. Okay. And it turns out just beautiful. But I was talking on this one and it didn't. So now is when I want to make sure that I get this tape off my zipper. Yeah. And now I want to trim it up. So this one has a pocket and I like that. Let me have my ruler. So where do I cut now, Dawn? Oh, I don't. Or I just trim it up, make sure it's nice and even. Top and bottom, front, back, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So make sure though, when you're trimming that top edge where the strap is, that you do not
cut your strap
all
off
the way through and you cut your strap off.
Yes, that's an important one. That's right. Yeah. Because you'll cut it right off and then you'll be like, I'm glad I had fun making this because I'm going to do it again.
And that's when you take it to your regular sewing machine and you sew the strap back on.
Dawn's a pro.
See, it's recoverable, like Becky said.
Everything's recoverable. Yeah. So what I would use here is scissors on this one. Okay. And you can see how we need to clean this up. So I would do it from this side first and get the edge to the right width that I want so that it has the same 1/8 inch around, all the way around top and bottom, side to side. It's kind of hard because that strap is in the way. Let's see here. Okay. That looks pretty good. Yep.
So, I mean, there was the option too of, making kind of like a buttonhole there and then putting the strap inside that buttonhole, but then it would have made the actual tag part of itself larger. And then I just kind of felt like it's not as secure, with having a strap that goes through the tag part. And so I preferred to attach the strap to the actual tag part so that it was much more secure and, you know, not going to just fall off. So.
I like it. Yeah, I like it a lot. It turned out great. I would recommend you guys to keep your lining fabric down closer to the bottom. Don't get it up as close to the top so that it doesn't have pokies that stick out, because I can see a little bit of my lining fabric here. So next go round, I'm going to keep my lining fabric just a little bit. See that? So I would actually want to trim this up, but then that gets it too close to the stitching on the front and everything. I just want it to look symmetrical, you know? So
yeah.
this is, yeah.
So one of the things you could do too is, I'm not sure if you did this, but treat the back of your fabric with some, you know, iron-on adhesive. So like Heat and Bond Light kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then that way you might be able to do a quick little press when you first put it down onto the vinyl on the back of the hoop. You don't want to press it now because you have that clear vinyl there.
Right. That's a great tip. Yeah. So here's what we were talking about. I've got a little bit of that tearaway stabilizer right there. And so I can take my little tweezers and get in there. You just don't want to have to do that, you know, as much as possible. Just don't want to. So I was able to pull out that piece. And now it's nice and clean on the edge there. And it turned out really cute. It turned out great. So now I need to get the hole through the other side where I could do that, I think, with a pair of scissors and just kind of so I can mark it, right? For the Chicago screw, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But you also need to do that if you were doing a cam snap as well. You still need to kind of.
Right. So what I did is I folded it over and so that I had the edge match right here. Okay. And then put my scissors in and did this. And now I've gone through the hole that I did with my eyelet maker. And now I've got a mark, and now I can use my eyelet maker on that mark and go all the way through it. Just like that. Perfect. Okay. And where are my little, I think the Chicago screws are in here. Yeah. This is awesome. So yeah, that's so the two mistakes I made on this one was I didn't have my bobbin with the same color ready. And I had to go back and restitch it. Now the restitching of it really wasn't that big of a deal. It didn't make that big of a deal at all. Because from the front, it looks beautiful. See that? It looks just fine. From the back, the only thing I'm not crazy about is the white stitching. I should have had a yellow bobbin. But, you know, those are the breaks. Now, I don't know if this is big enough. I don't think it is. Nope. Well, there we go. Perfect. Went through there.
Yeah, see, sometimes I prefer the holes being smaller that you punch, because then that way it makes a really nice snug fit.
Yeah. I think this is a real tall one. I should have gotten the ones that have a shorter post.
Shank.
Yeah. And now I have to get them in here. This is great. Perfect, perfect. Okay. And now I'm going to use my little brother screwdriver. See, that thing rotates and turns into a screwdriver. Oh, that's too wide. It's not going to work. I'm going to have to use a different screwdriver. Yeah. Hey, perfect. This was fun. Look at that.
Yay.
Yay.
Excellent.
That turned out really nice. That was great. So we installed a zipper, right? We did vinyl on the front. So yeah, you can see, you can't see my finger, but it's in there. And then, so there's the little pocket. And now there is my finger. I can put a little business card or credentials if I wanted to wear it as a lanyard. How neat is that? Very cool. So you can put your credit card, your room card in there. Very cool. Nice. So I'm going to make another one of these and put my name on it because it's going to go with me when I travel on Sew and Sale 13 and 14. And Dawn, our little bird, tells me you might be doing a Sew and Sale.
I am doing a Sew and Sale. I'm doing Sew and Sale 15, going to the Bahamas May 18th through the 24th, I think it is.
No. Oh, yeah, the back-to-back. Oh, thank you
Yes.
so much, Cindy. Thank you. You are a sweetheart. I appreciate that. You're a doll. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm doing Sew and Sale 14 to the Bahamas May 8th through the 18th, right? And then you're doing 18 to 24 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 5-nighter. You're doing a 9-nighter, I think.
Yeah, we're doing 9. We're going out of New Jersey.
New Jersey. Yeah, we're going out of the same place. I think we're jumping right on that ship right after you guys come back.
Oh, cool. We'll have to keep up with each other.
Yes.
Yeah, those back-to-backs are too hard for me. I told Jamie, no more of those. I can't handle it. So we did back-to-back 11 and 12, and that was a little bit much for me.
Wow.
So, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, this has been a lot of fun. I want to thank Dawn so much for being here and showing me how to recover from a mistake, because I bet you one of you are going to do that too. It happens. And Dawn talked us right through it. I didn't even have to unpick anything, and you did great. So anyway, you all, thank you so very much for being here. Dawn, it was great having you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for doing the luggage tag, and I hope you all have a wonderful cruise if I don't talk to you before then.
All right, you guys, this has been fun. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it with me. We'll talk to you soon. You guys go sew something. Bye.